Welcome to the Bay Area Case Studies Virtual College Fair Explore session. Thank you for joining us. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are muted so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of many different sessions happening, so please be sure to sign up for more. This presentation is being recorded and will be available within about a week at strivescan.com/BACS. We have a great variety of schools that will be presenting to you today that vary in size, location, and other characteristics. We hope this session broadens your horizons during your college search. And the colleges and universities that you're going to hear from in this session are the University of Oregon, Union College, Seattle University, Brandeis University, Johns Hopkins University, and Clark University. And so now I would like to turn it over to our presenters. And first up is the University of Oregon.
Good evening, everyone. Just give me a moment to share my PowerPoint. My apologies, having technical difficulties. One moment. My name is Ruth Rodriguez, and I am an admissions counselor at University of Oregon. And I'm a regional rep, so I get to live here in California and work with students from the Bay Area. If you're not already familiar, University of Oregon is in Eugene, which is about 2 hours south of Portland, about 3 hours north of the California border. The town of Eugene has about 150,000 people. Best way to describe it is that it's a suburban town in a rural setting. So it's a beautiful aerial view of our campus. It's a really easy campus to navigate. It's about a 15-minute walk from one side of campus to the other. We're considered a mid-sized campus on the larger side with 19,000 undergraduate students. We do get students from all 50 states and over 100 countries around the world. We have over 70 majors for students to choose from. And the reason that it says academic programs is that within those 70 majors, there are concentrations students can choose from. So if they want to major in business administration, that would be their major, but then they have concentrations to choose from like finance, sports business, and so on. We offer study abroad programs for students to take advantage of. About 25% of our students do. We have over 300 programs in over 80 countries for students to choose from. If students are looking for a very traditional college experience on a larger campus setting with a lot of school spirit, UO can definitely provide that. We have over 300 student clubs and organizations. A lot of our school spirit is driven by athletics. We are Division I Pac-12. You may have seen some of our sports teams do really well on TV as well as on social media. So there's so much for students to get involved in and really feel that sense of community that UO is able to provide. We do require students to live on campus their first year. There's so much variety when it comes to housing. We have triples, doubles, and singles, great academic residential communities to choose from. So students can really tailor what type of experience they want to have on campus. If students need some assistance, we have tons of resources for students to be successful on campus. For example, if they're having a challenging time in a class, we offer tutoring. If they have a learning difference and need some accommodations, they can utilize the Accessible Education Center. Or maybe they want to find a job or an internship, or they're ready to graduate. They can then utilize our Career Services Center. So a Career Services Center offers different events throughout the year to help students really prepare for that next step in their career. Now, a little bit about applying to UO. Students can utilize one of the 3 applications listed here. We have no preference. So if they want to apply via the Common App, the Coalition, or the Oregon application, anyone is just fine. What students want to keep in mind is that we do have different application periods. So students can apply early action by November 1st. A regular deadline is by January 15th. No matter when students apply, students have till May 1st to commit. The benefit of applying early is that students are notified early of a decision. So that's something students want to keep in mind and when they decide when they want to apply. One of the benefits of applying for a regular decision deadline of January 15th is then we are able to take into consideration a student's fall senior grades. So if that's important to the student, they want to keep that in mind. There are some courses we like to see students have completed. You can see them here. Very similar to the requirements for some of the California schools. But one thing that you want to keep in mind is that these are strongly encouraged, but a student would never be denied solely for not completing these courses. We do a holistic review of applications. So on this slide, you see all the things that are taken into consideration. So it's really important for students to understand that everything that's provided on the application is taken into consideration. We are test optional. We actually decided and announced last February that we would be permanently test optional. So that means students can decide if they want to submit scores to us, if they feel that it will add something to the application, but they are not required. We don't require letters of recommendations either, but if students submit them, we will read them. So this year we were test blind for scholarships. That means that we awarded the merit scholarships that you see on the slide solely based on GPA. We don't know yet what we will be doing in the future. In the past, we utilized both GPA and test scores, but we know that it's still a challenging time for students to be able to take ACT or SAT scores. So that is why the decision hasn't been made, and it should be made by this summer. We do now have what's called the Oregon Guarantee. This is really exciting news for students and families for them to be able to plan financially what it will look like to attend UO. So what it means is that we will fix the tuition for up to 5 years. So what students pay their freshman year, they will pay their 5th year. Now, most students do graduate in 4 years, but if by any chance students take that 5th year, they will pay the exact same tuition. Again, my name is Ruth Rodriguez. I am your admissions counselor. Please feel free to contact me if you have any further questions. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Next up is Union College.
Welcome to Union College in upstate New York. We are 3 hours west of Boston, and we are 3 hours north of New York City in a beautiful small city with a funny name, Schenectady, New York. We have 2,150 students. 9% of our students are international students. We have 24% BIPOC students and a beautiful suburban campus in a small city. So we have both suburban opportunities and urban flair. The thing that I love about Union is that the opportunities are available for the majority of students. So at Union, everyone is going to have a faculty advisor. Everyone is going to have a class dean. Everyone is going to have small classes. The intro class average is 24 students. The upper level class average is 16 students. We have wonderful opportunities to bring different disciplines together. And I'll just mention that we are among the very few small colleges that offer ABET certified degrees in engineering. 20% of our students have majors in engineering, and we just received a gift from 2 graduates in the class of 1980 for $51 million last year to add to our engineering offerings. So students find a real opportunity to get to know faculty members. That leads to lots of good things. It leads to research opportunities. 85% of our students do research with a faculty member. It leads to the chance to really spend time with office hours with a faculty member. And ultimately, it might lead to working with them on their own research, to being involved in a lab while you're at Union, to having the kind of experience that students often don't get till graduate school as undergraduates. In addition to picking something that you want to study, and I just say to all of those of you who are juniors out there, you will be asked at least 100,000 times what you might like to study in the coming year. So just make up a little something to get through the application process. But when you come to Union, you're going to select a major by the end of your second year, which means you will have had lots of chances within our core curriculum to explore many different disciplines. We want you to try a lot of different things because 3/4 of our students do a double major, a major and a minor, a major and a double minor, or are involved in interdisciplinary study like neuroscience or East Asian studies. You have many, many opportunities to be involved in different disciplines, and we want you to feel that you can explore more than one subject if that's something that you'd like to do. Union has a brand new integrated science and engineering complex that's on the left side of this slide. I love how new buildings always have a price tag on them. This is called the $100 million integrated science and engineering complex. Of course, it has fantastic labs and great equipment. Our undergraduates have a chance to work in 5 different maker spaces, to work with a proton accelerator or a telescope. The undergraduates at Union use all the equipment and have the frontline opportunity to do those research things that I mentioned with faculty members. But this building also provides those great places for students to study, collaborate, and work together. And you can see some of that at each end of the building. You're going to find that in many environments, whether it's in the arts or in music or dance. We want students to work together, to build a community, to have a good time while studying hard. Union also is very invested in research. 85% of the seniors are doing big research projects, and we have a celebration every spring of a day when 500 of them make presentations of their research. 60% of our students go on our own international programs, and they travel to 40 different places in all different parts of the world. That can be a part of your career, whether you're a science major, a double major, an engineer, or if you're a French major. Of course, you can take a term abroad. We're very eager to engage you in that way. The last piece is that 85% of our students do internships. And Union, again, a college of 2,150, has 13,000 alums who are ready to work with you on your career, education, and getting internships, learning about what different people who've graduated ahead of you are doing in industry. We also are involved with Handshake and lots of opportunities for you to get a career. 98% have jobs, are in graduate school, or have traveling fellowships. The last thing I'd say is we have a wonderful social house system called the Minerva Houses, and we'd welcome you to learn more about them. There's 7 Minerva Houses, and each house does its own programming with over $20,000 available for that programming. Union accepts the common application and the coalition application. We love to have visits. We love to have students interview, and we look forward to seeing you in Schenectady, New York, just west of the state capitol in Albany. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Next up is Seattle University.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Seattle U. My name is Adriana Hodis, and I am here to give you a bit of an introduction to our campus community. Nothing that does that without showing you this photo. We obviously can't talk about Seattle University without talking about the city of Seattle. Students that choose Seattle U are looking for the best of both worlds. They love that traditional campus experience, the required residence halls the first 2 years. You can't walk from one side of campus to another without running into many people that you know. You're going to find small class sizes, a lot of mentors and community. But at the same time, you can spend all day in class or in the library and then walk 3 blocks off campus to some of the city's best coffee shops, music venues, museums, art galleries, and so much more. We live up to every stereotype of Seattle with more than 130 coffee shops within a mile of campus. But also as a result, our students are engaged in the neighborhoods we're part of. We are a Jesuit Catholic university, so you'll find a huge emphasis on social justice and service, this idea of global citizenship. And with more than 4 undergraduate colleges, you'll find more than 65 different majors to choose from. Can't talk about your college experience without talking about your academic experience. Some things to note about us: we are direct entry in the admissions process. So when we ask you what you're interested in majoring in, we will specifically review you for that major. For programs like nursing, that's really important, but of course it's okay not to know what you want to major in. We have a unique program called Pre-Major Studies, which is just for undecided or undeclared students at Seattle U. It's its own advising and academic department to help you figure out and go through the discernment process for what you want to major in. Most students at Seattle U go through our university core, which is a sequence of 12 courses ending in a capstone project within your major. It's everything from a math and science requirement to a philosophy and ethics requirement to a comparative religions requirement and a hands-on art experience class. All of those classes are capped at 20 students, and you have more than 25 courses to choose from. Regardless of the college you're in, you will have academic advisors to help you plan that double major or minor or how to study abroad, and really serve as a one-stop to support you on your academic journey. On top of that, we have pre-professional advising to help you prepare for medical school, law school, becoming a teacher, and so much more. And I would say the defining part of our educational experience is the experiential learning you'll find. Our students don't learn within four white walls of the classroom. They learn through service learning opportunities. They learn through internships and projects and clinical placements. So you will have a chance to actually be in real world environments as you learn and clarify what you want to do. But I also want to assure you, you will have fun in college. Our students are involved in just about everything. We have Division I sports. We're part of the Western Athletic Conference, but just about every student I know is involved in club and intramural sports. We have more than 25 different cultural organizations and identity-based groups on campus, and student clubs ranging from the e-gamers club to the film club to the fashion club to the photography club, as well as a student-run newspaper, radio station, and musical production company. Now to talk about admissions, we have a very holistic review. We want to get to know all of you and not only what you've accomplished in high school, but who you're becoming. So there's a lot of different things that we consider. We are test optional. We look at not only your overall GPA, but how you've grown as a student. We look at who you are within your classroom community and your community at large. We look at those major prerequisites if relevant. We look at how you share your story and who you'll be as a member of our community. We have two main deadlines: early action, which is November 15th, and regular decision, which is January 15th. Do what's best for you. We are here to support you and advise. And of course, cost is a major factor for any decision you'll ultimately make. While we are a private institution, and you'll see a higher cost of attendance here with it about $65,970, please also note that big red circle. 91.5% of our students receive some type of financial aid. And the average package is around $32,000 per year. Not only do we have merit scholarships, but we also have something called the Sullivan Leadership Award, which is a 4-year tuition and room and board scholarship that you can apply to if you are excited by our mission and our emphasis on social justice. And that is it for me. Please stay in touch. Know that I look forward to connecting with you, supporting you, and hopefully welcoming you to campus someday.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Adrian. Next up is Brandeis University.
All right, thank you. All right. Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, I guess. No, you're evening now. My name is Jessica Schulman. I'm a Senior Assistant Director of Admission at Brandeis University. Brandeis University is just outside of Waltham. I am a Bay Area native myself. I wish I could be back there in person with all of you, but I hold dearly to my heart that I get to represent the Bay Area on the admissions side. So a little bit about Brandeis University. I think none of it would be possible just to give you a little bit of context. Brandeis is a really mission and values driven institution. Some brief history: we were founded at a time where a lot of elite colleges and universities in the United States used a quota system for admitting their students. So they would admit X amount of students from this race or ethnicity, X amount of students from this religion, X amount of men, X amount of women, and that's how they would fill that incoming class. As we know, that's a discriminatory practice in nature. One group that was being discriminated against in the quota system was the American Jewish community. So the American Jewish community came together to create Brandeis as a response to those quotas, so that all students would get in based on their own academic merit and not based on their religion or color of their skin, or if they identified as male or female or anything like that. So you'll see a lot of themes of inclusivity, diversity, equality really woven into the Brandeis experience. We are not a Jewish institution. However, we were founded by the American Jewish community upon Jewish values. There's no religious component to Brandeis University. Some of our values include that we are a tier 1 research university. There's about 130 tier 1 research universities in the United States. That means that we are conducting the highest level of research where our funding and resources go towards research across all disciplines, whether that's the hard sciences, social sciences, humanities, fine arts, every major needs research, right? Of those 130 universities, the average size of an undergraduate population is about 26,000 undergrads. Brandeis is the second smallest tier 1 research university in the United States. We are only 3,600 undergraduate students. So you have the funding and resources of a big school at the size of a little bit larger than a liberal arts college, kind of what we call the best of both worlds. Another value that we like to highlight at Brandeis is our commitment to social justice, kind of like Seattle University. You'll find that Brandeis is an incredible platform for launching issues of social justice. You'll find that students at Brandeis love to advocate for things, change things. They want to fix things in the world, whether that's advocating for LGBTQ rights or environmental sustainability, finding a cure for something, working with refugees. Really, whatever your cause or passion is, you'll find that Brandeis is this incredible platform for getting involved in social justice, not just our social policy majors, but our math majors, our music majors. People want to give back to their communities and really make an impact. We are located just 9 miles outside of Boston. You're on your own suburban enclosed campus community in the city of Waltham. Waltham is 9 miles outside of Boston. So you have access to a major hub, kind of the mecca of higher education, if you will. And you'll find that our students utilize Boston for a number of different things, whether that's taking classes at one of the other Boston area colleges, going to conferences and panels, getting student discounts at the Red Sox games, or comedy shows or concerts. We have a train stop right on campus where you can get into Boston in about 15 minutes. In terms of our academics, we operate under a core curriculum structure. That said, it sounds like there's requirements, but our core curriculum is very flexible in nature. There are no required classes. You choose what you take in order to fulfill various requirements on our campus. A lot of your requirements are actually within your major. Over half of our students double major. Some students like to pair things that go really nicely together. Maybe you like neuroscience and psychology. Maybe you like business and economics, but maybe you have interests on polar opposite ends of the academic spectrum. You'll find Brandeis students are double majoring in things like chemistry and theater arts, or English and computer science. And you're like, what? But at Brandeis, that's very normal, very typical. You find that students are double majoring across disciplines, and that's really exciting to them. Our core curriculum includes highlights like a health wellness component where instead of PE, you're learning things like financial literacy, stress management, CPR and first aid. Also a global engagement component where you're taking on classes like difference and justice in the world and making sure that we're having this global mindset where we really get to contribute back to our respective communities. In terms of our campus life, we guarantee 2 years of housing. However, 80% of our students live on campus for all 4 years. It's a very cohesive community. We are looking for students who are going to give back to their communities, be good roommates, be kind to our professors, things like that. Over 200 different clubs and organizations ranging from business and academic-based groups to media and publications to completely random ones. My personal favorite is the Cheese Club. They import fancy cheese from around the world and then they eat it, and that is their club. In terms of what happens after Brandeis and after school, 94% of our class of 2020 in the middle of a pandemic, within 6 months of graduation, we're either working full-time in graduate school, medical school, or law school, or doing Peace Corps, AmeriCorps service types of programs. That's with about a 70% response rate, which for college students is very, very strong. Our Career Center is with you for life. So myself, as a Brandeis alum, I can go utilize the Career Center when I'm 71 years old and want to change my career to be a lawyer. I can go utilize their services. And they report that a number of alumni take advantage of those. In terms of the application process, we've been test optional for a number of years at this point. There's 3 main options that you can do in order to fulfill those requirements and in order to fulfill that test optional policy. And then the last thing I want to hit on is that we meet full need. So if your family can pay X amount of money and you're admitted to Brandeis, Brandeis agrees to meet the rest of that demonstrated financial cost. So thinking about social justice and tier 1 research, Brandeis might be a great place for you. Feel free to stay in touch, and thanks for stopping by.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Next up is Johns Hopkins University.
Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Krista Grubb. I am an Assistant Director of Admissions at Hopkins and also a alum, and I'm currently in grad school at Hopkins. So I am a Blue Jay through and through. When we talk about Hopkins today, we're going to be talking about the undergraduate campus, which is its own campus located in Baltimore, Maryland. You'll see here on the Homewood campus, we have two schools. We have the Krieger School of Arts and Sciences and the Whiting School of Engineering. But when you apply to Hopkins, you're applying to the institution as a whole. So you're not applying into one of the two schools or even into a major. There is one exception to that, which is biomedical engineering. But for all other majors, you're applying to the institution as a whole. And you'll see here that we also have the other campuses listed. So the Hopkins network is vast. However, the undergraduate campus is a medium-sized institution with only about 5,400 undergraduate students. Hopkins was founded as the first research university in the country. However, we are also a liberal arts institution. So I'm going to talk about the mixture of those two. The first piece is that liberal arts background. So every student, no matter what major you decide to pursue, will learn basic skills such as learning how to write well, how to think strategically, think analytically, and make the students be prepared for any field after graduation, whether it is directly related to their major or something completely different. Our students are learning the skills to be able to pivot rather than just the content of their specific major. Additionally, students have time to explore their majors. So you have until the end of your second year if you're in the arts and sciences, end of your first year if that's within engineering, to figure out what you want to pursue as your primary major. However, you can add on additional majors and minors across the two schools, does not matter. After that, we just want to make sure that you graduate within that 4-year mark. So that is why we have a declaration date. Now we have a flexible distribution system. So what that means is that you are going to take a certain amount of classes across all what we call the buckets, the humanities, the social sciences, the natural sciences, engineering, and what we call quantitative classes. However, you are selecting every single class that you're taking. So there's not a core curriculum or a specific set of classes that every student is taking. Rather, you're still getting that breadth in your curriculum and that liberal arts background to be able to think in an analytical way, think in an interdisciplinary way, see how different fields connect, while still choosing topics that are interesting to you. So because of that, it's a dynamic classroom. The students are choosing all their classes. They're excited to be there, excited to learn the concepts. And they also have students from all different backgrounds in each class, adding different perspectives. It's also a small classroom, so it's a 7-to-1 student faculty ratio. So you get to know not only other students who have diverse perspectives, but you'll also get to know these top tier professors. One reason we're able to bring in top tier professors who are NASA Achievement Award winners and Time's top 100 most influential people. One of our professors was nominated this year because of the COVID-19 tracking board. You have access to those professors starting day one freshman year, and it's because of the opportunities that our undergraduates have here at Hopkins. We're able to bring in these top tier professors because we are the most federally funded research institution in the country. We spent over $2.5 billion with a B in research, and our undergraduates have access to all of that. So whether it's a wet lab type of environment or doing research in the humanities, in our rare books collection, looking at the history of Gaelic studies, whatever it is, you have access to all of that as an undergraduate through a professor on your own through immense research grants. Our students also partake in internships as well. And so both of these experiences allow our students to see the practical impact of what they're learning in the classrooms. So one huge piece of the Hopkins education is really seeing how your academic pieces are applied and starting to gain that experience day one freshman year. So not only do these activities occur outside of the classroom, but it's also how the classroom is set up and functions. Our students are also making an impact outside the classroom. We have over 400 student groups. I won't talk about the range. You can actually see them all online if you Google it. But what I really want to point out is that our campus is 100% student driven and student run. So they are campus leaders. They are making this their campus and they're really making an impact. They're changing policies. They're really making this their campus, even virtually now. Through COVID-19, they've really made an impact, and you can become a leader because we're a small enough campus that you can do that with enough resources that you can market, budget, schedule clubs that are $200,000 of budget, right? And so you have that autonomy as an undergraduate. But the other piece of the learning experience at Hopkins is Baltimore. Baltimore is a college town. We are one of 14 universities, and the average age is 18 to 25. So you can really make an impact in Baltimore in a unique way that you have limited opportunities elsewhere. Our students are changing policies in the city. They are changing sustainability efforts. It's really their home in addition to where they live for 4 years. They become part of the community, and it's also a fun place to live. You can see a bunch of the statistics up here. But I have family in the Bay Area. I'm actually in Woodside right now, but I also consider Baltimore home. So if you have personal questions about what Baltimore's like, I'm happy to talk about that. And then lastly, I'm going to quickly go over this slide. This is where our alumni are going after graduation. And once again, that liberal arts background allows our students to pivot for any field, but it also allows them to be prepared to pivot throughout their entire career. So with that, I see, Matt, you popped up. So I'm going to end the presentation, but I'm going to add this last slide. Please go to our website. We have a lot of great resources for students who are starting their applications.
Excellent, thank you. And next up is Clark University. And you're still muted, Natasha.
My apologies. You would think a year into Zoom, I would get this by now. Sorry, everybody. My name is Natasha Kathari. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm an assistant director of admissions at Clark University. So excited to be joining all of you tonight from the city that Clark calls home, which is Worcester, Massachusetts. This is the second largest city in New England after Boston. We're about an hour away from Boston, about an hour away from Providence, and about 3 hours from New York City by car. We are really, really proud to call Worcester our home. And that definitely contributes to the student experience because downtown Worcester is only about 5 minutes away from our campus. That campus is home to about 2,200 undergraduate students and about 800 graduate students. And we are proud to be both a liberal arts university and a research university, which I will talk about a little bit in a moment. In addition to that distinction, we are also one of only 40 institutions in the country called a college that changes lives. This is due to the fact that we provide a transformative, highly experiential liberal arts education with a focus on social justice and on community engagement. On our campus, we offer over 30 different majors. The most popular of those are psychology, business management, biology, international development and social change, and political science. So definitely a really diverse mix. As I mentioned earlier, we are both a liberal arts university and a research university. One really fun fact is that we are actually the smallest combination liberal arts and research university in the country. And both parts of our identity contribute to our award-winning curriculum model, which is called LEAP, or Liberal Education and Effective Practice. We don't have to go over the whole thing, but essentially LEAP combines the best of a liberal arts education of getting to explore a lot of different ways of thinking with the best of a research university, getting to, get this kind of hands-on experiential education. A few different components of that I do want to touch on are our first year intensive, which is a seminar style class that every first year student will take during their first semester in any of about 36 different subjects. The instructor of that class becomes the student's first academic advisor. Personalized attention, you'll find, is a really important part of the Clark experience between that advising that happens through the first year intensive, the advising that happens through our LEAP Student Success Network, the fact that our faculty to student ratio is only 1 to 10. Students do explore a liberal arts curriculum through what we call the Program of Liberal Studies. So this is a really flexible core curriculum model. There are no required classes. Instead, there are 9 different requirements and students pick one class to fulfill each of those 9 requirements. We begin to see the experiential component of a Clark education through our POP classes, or Problems of Practice courses. We do love our acronyms at Clark. These are highly experiential classes that are available in every single department. So you might do fieldwork for the local government in an environmental science class. You might start your own business in a business management class. And it's important to note that these experiential opportunities at Clark go far beyond those POP classes. So about 1/3 of our students study abroad, 60% of our students do research, and 84% complete at least one internship before their senior year even starts. So I like to say that the difference between Clark and other institutions is that while some of these opportunities are available at many institutions in the country, there's a large difference between what you can do in college and what you actually will do. And the fact that our entire curriculum is designed around getting students outside of the classroom, the fact that our students are receiving this incredible level of personalized attention starting at the beginning of their first year on campus, the resources that are available to students in the form of funding to complete these opportunities, those are the things that make the difference in making these opportunities truly accessible to our student body. And that certainly makes a difference long term. We're proud to say that for our 2020 graduates, 97% are employed in graduate school or engaged in voluntary service programs within 6 months of graduation. And many of those students actually take advantage of a really special opportunity that Clark University offers, which is our 5th-year master's program. This is an accelerated master's program that is offered in 14 different areas and is entirely tuition free for students who spend all 4 years at Clark University. I do want to talk quickly about culture. We are a really diverse campus, about 23% students of color, about 19% first generation students, and student life definitely centers around our campus. Students do live on campus for their first 2 years, and many continue to live on campus later on. This is a really active student body, really engaged in social justice and really focused on the community. And we have over 130 different student organizations, 17 varsity sports, no Greek life. From the admissions standpoint, I do want to mention we have 4 different admissions timelines available. We are very holistic in the application review process, and we have been test optional since 2012. So I definitely like to mention that the application process at Clark is kind of choose your own adventure. In terms of financial aid and scholarships, 85% of our students receive some form of financial aid. If you're interested in need-based aid, you need to fill out the CSS profile. And then if you are a United States citizen or permanent resident, we also require the FAFSA. All students applying to Clark are automatically considered for tiered scholarships ranging up to $20,000 per year. And then we do have some more generous scholarships that require a separate application. If at any point you have any questions about Clark, feel free to contact our office at admissions@clarku.edu. But hey, keep in mind, if you're looking for a school where you can challenge convention and change the world, if you're excited to learn about a lot of different things, and if you're excited to engage in the world around you, Clark might just be the place for you. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. And thank you to all of our presenters. We now have a couple of minutes for Q&A before we wrap up. And so I'd invite all of our presenters to come back on camera and respond to this question. What advice would you give someone going through the college search process? And I'll ask that our presenters respond in the same order that they presented. So we'll start with University of Oregon.
All right. There we go. So one of the biggest things that I would say, specifically about tonight, would be if you participated in the case study session of it, I think you had the opportunity to learn a lot. But both as students and parents, I think it's important that what you should really walk away with is what type of information you need to provide on the application. So this is probably one of the first times you've ever seen an application. So I think it's important to be prepared for the type of questions and information you have to provide. I think that it can be a stressful and daunting process, but if you know that you need to provide a list of information, you can start preparing for that. And so I think that's what's really important. So you're prepared and start working on it early and really work on or thinking about all the details you need to provide us, because for many of us, the application will be the sole thing we have to make a decision on your admission. Thanks.
I would say that it's very important to remember during this process how wonderful you are, and for your parents to remind you every day of your accomplishments and the good qualities that you have. This process will have some disappointment and a lot of joys. So be sure that you find some colleges to look at that are just right for you, that are going to want you like crazy, that are going to offer you merit scholarships, that are going to be wonderful places to go to college. And then if you choose to apply to more competitive schools on your range, that's fine. But be sure you have that college you love, the college that's in your wheelhouse. That will help you in this process.
That's great advice. I would also emphasize that we as admissions counselors are here to help. I tell every student that I work with that I'm here to be a resource and an advocate for you through the admissions process, and we are not here to sell you on a school. We genuinely want you to find the very best fit for you.
Almost forgot my order there. I would add to stay open-minded in the process. I think there are over 4,000 colleges and universities in the United States, ranging from large University of Oregon to small Union College to community college to state schools to everything in between. And the ones that we consistently hear about are, in those kind of top tier ones sometimes, or those name brand schools, but there are so many schools out there that I think it's really important to keep your options wide open. You'll never know of all the schools that are out there. And I think that's really important and something I wish I had known.
Going off of that, one of my biggest pieces of advice would be start just figuring out what you like now, right? Start attending different virtual information sessions, start looking at different campuses. Do you like an urban environment, a rural environment? How big a school do you want? And once you figure that out, stick true to that. This is a very personal process for you. It doesn't matter what your best friend is doing, what your cousin is doing. You should be finding schools, like Anne said, that are genuinely great for you. And so the way you start to figure that out is now. I know you probably have a lot of homework and things going on, but it is important in your free time to start doing that research just to figure out what you like, and then that'll guide you.
And I would actually add on to something that both Jessica and Krista brought up, which is just how overwhelming this search can feel sometimes when you're trying to make that list. And I think that it's important when you're considering, different schools and narrowing down your list to think about not just the person you are now, but the person that you want to be. Which school is not just going to support you, but also challenge you during your time in college.
Great, thank you all very much. So we are just about out of time for this session. So I want to say thank you to all of our presenters for the great information that you shared, and thank you to our attendees for joining us. When you close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey, and we do appreciate any feedback that you can provide. A reminder, this is just one of many different sessions happening as part of this college fair, so please do sign up for more. And in about a week, you'll be able to find the recording from this session as well as others at strivescan.com/BACS. So that concludes this session. Thank you all for joining us and have a great rest of your evening.